If you learn to handle these 7 emotions, guilt, shame, anxiety, helplessness, disappointment, confusion, and loneliness, you'll be well prepared for whatever comes your way. That is an absolute promise. There's a lot of disagreement about what constitutes human emotion. Some experts maintain that surprise, joy, interest, rage, disgust, shame, fear, and anguish are the only emotions hardwired in us. Others claim that only surprise, anger, fear, happiness, disgust, and sadness are innate. And still others argue that the 4 basic emotional response patterns are panic, rage, expectancy, and fear. What can be agreed upon is that people regularly avoid and minimize a specific side of emotions. It is these exact emotions, more often than not, that trigger acting out. If you can learn to effectively handle the most troubling emotions, you can significantly improve your life and enhance your emotional self. 7 emotions may or may not resonate with you. If you've been working on emotional healing for a long time, you may feel only 1 or 2 feelings truly difficult. If you're a novice, don't despair. In the following lessons, we will be devoting an entire lesson to each emotion discussed. For now, let's briefly explain all 7 of them. Guilt. Guilt is pervasive in our society and even more so in the lives of people. The people that I have worked with that have eating disorders or a disordered or unhealthy relationship with food or themselves tend to be other-oriented, a caretaker, a do-gooder, have an overly developed sense of responsibility, and rarely, if ever, believe they are doing enough. Every failed relationship is her fault. Every situation that needs fixing is her job. Every person with a problem becomes her pet project. Many clients live in a constant state of guilt as if they can never get things right or do as much as they believe they should. They have such incredibly high standards that they're doomed to fall short. Because they're often people pleasers and feel bad and selfish when they do things for themselves, their self-care is often fair to poor. Shame. Shame happens when you live far outside a state of grace. Many of my clients have believed that their behavior is sinful and disgusting, but were unable or unwilling to stop. 9 out of 10 times these clients come from shame-based families, and the feeling is strongly familiar to them. One of the ways they express their feelings is through addictions and obsessions and attaining a weight that is grossly below or above the norm. Disordered eating may be a way to maintain the shame that they unconsciously think they ought to feel or are used to feeling. At the rock bottom of all emotional suffering is helplessness. It occurs when there's nothing you can do. It underlines many feelings: frustration, impatience, anger, and anxiety. You can't help but feel reverberations from infancy and early childhood. Although you may not recall lying powerless in the crib, your body holds the memory. In later years of childhood and adulthood, feeling helpless is often associated with fear that something bad will happen. Something terrible is going to happen, and I can't do anything about it. My clients often combat their helplessness by taking action, usually in the form of controlling their food intake or eating everything in sight. Anxiety is often correlated with a family history of depression or anxiety and may lack the proper balance of neurotransmitters to help people relax. Disappointment lends itself to acting out, so much so that it's surprising that everyone doesn't turn to it when they feel let down. Chronic disappointment can lead people to believe that they don't deserve to have positive expectations and outcomes in life. Wanting causes them to feel needy, and so they deny their genuine desires. Because it's too scary to have expectations of yourself from other people, you turn to something that's predictable and always in good supply. This could be food, TV, porn, alcohol, drugs, sex, etc. People often deal with disappointment by raising their expectations of themselves, as if to say, others might disappoint me, but I have high standards. I will figure out how to never disappoint myself. Workaholics are also people who tend to be chronically disappointed. Confusion is often overlooked as a troubling emotion because it's considered one of the smaller feelings, not a giant like fear or shame. It runs rampant in people who are not in touch with their physical needs and wants. Most of confusion is about the concept of enough in numerous areas of your life. What drives your confusion is the desperate urge to find out what's right so that you won't fail or make mistakes. Because it's difficult to tolerate the tension created by vague, mixed, or conflicting emotions, you often give up and lean into negative behaviors. Loneliness is such a soul killer that I'm not surprised that lonely people seek solace in substances and other numbing resources or addictions. To feel lonely harkens back to childhood fears of being abandoned, rejected, dismissed, ignored, unseen, or unheard in your untutored young mind. When you weren't reflected in someone's eyes, you felt disconnected, invisible, and annihilated, as if you didn't exist. When you feel this depth of loneliness, you are desperate to bond with something, anything, to merely feel alive. You look for something that reminds you of the comfort of being held and fed, connected to someone, and to a time you were loved and valued. You might also qualify the emptiness and aloneness with obsessing about things you can control and proving how little you need.